Our Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, has already declared the ongoing decade, 2010 to 2020, as the decade of innovation, set up a National Innovation Council at the start of it, and we've created a roadmap to harness our capabilities in diverse fields like health, education, agriculture, urban and rural development, energy, water, climate change, and so on. Now, with a remarkably young population in India, the government is committed to acting as a catalyst in its efforts to break barriers and seize new opportunities, to push for innovation in ways where we can make the best of the human capital and natural resources which we've been endowed with. Apart from innovation, the Cabinet passed the National Information Technology Policy this year that aims to increase the revenues of IT and ITES industry from $100 billion today to $300 billion by 2020 and expand exports from the current $69 billion to $200 billion by 2020. But to turn this into reality, we need to make the Indian environment conducive for investment of capital from abroad. Now, while all of this is important to ensure that technology is leveraged as a tool for our soft power, it's crucial to increase the level of interaction between the industry and academia, be it increasing opportunities for students to work on live projects, increasing the number of summer internships, conducting training sessions, for example, for students, collaborating with universities to leverage the available research facilities, maybe going to a university and saying, look, if you will have a bunch of students research this and this, we will finance it. We have no problem with companies doing that. We need to see you doing much more of that. Tap into the resources of the universities. Many of the companies in this room have already started doing similar things, and it's also crucial to drive this to the level of other towns, tier 2 towns and rural areas. Now, if you go and Google the expression frugal innovation, your first 20 hits will all be in India. So we've become the world's past masters at frugal innovation, doing things, stripping them of their expensive accoutrements, doing it simply, cheaply, affordably, fast, often created by necessity, and trying to solve our local problems that way. There's some great examples: Dr. Devi Shetty's cost-cutting cardiac treatment, the Jaipur foot prosthetic for people who've lost their limbs, low-cost effective technology in medical treatments, the world's cheapest insulin, the world's cheapest TB vaccine. All of these are coming from us. Government laboratories crowdsourcing discoveries of cheaper drugs, the cheapest mobile phone calls in the world, the use of palliative drugs used in my home state of Kerala for use for people who really have no hope and where good healthcare services are not available. So many examples. I mean, we can go on: the cheapest water purifier, the Tata Nano, and all of this is really frugal innovation. But is it enough for us to take products that others have invented first and just strip them down? We are, after all, the land of original innovation a few thousand years ago, the land that invented the zero, where Aryabhatta figured out centuries before Galileo, Copernicus, and Kepler that the Earth revolved around the sun, and everything else to go with his findings. We had original insights in this country. It's not enough, it seems to me, to just take existing innovations and transform them. That's the next leap we need to go with. In fact, last year, the American magazine Technology Review came out with a list of 35 young innovators under the age of 35 around the world, and a whopping 20 of them were Indians, showcasing, I think, in many ways, the rich seam of talent we have hidden here. The world, especially developing countries, needs these technologies to make the lives of their citizens easier. So we can use technologies adapted from our local surroundings far more easily. And of course, in the rest of the developing world, India shares so many common challenges and common traits with developing countries. They can use our things. We really can do a great deal to become known around the world as the land of innovation, the land of smart technology. The challenge for us now is to replicate Bangalore on a national scale, to create an environment that allows us to tap these rich reserves locally and extract the most out of them. There's increasing talk of a brain gain syndrome. That's recently on the rise in India. The reverse of the brain drain: a lot of students, researchers, PhDs, even young professors who have studied and done well abroad, coming back to India to contribute to our growing economy, to be back home here again. No longer will we have Hargobind Khurana type stories of people who find they can't get the facilities here for the research they want to do and who then go abroad and win Nobel Prizes for foreign countries. Now the facilities are available here. Conditions are getting attractive. I was on an NDTV discussion just on Sunday last on this question of the future of science in our country. And I would urge you all to Google it. Some very eminent minds had a lot of sensible things to say, which have reconfirmed my optimism about the direction in this way we're going. Now, I talked about soft power. Now, hard power is exercised. Soft power is evoked. The emotional association with cultural iconography is usually stronger than any political affiliation. So the greatest brand ambassador for the US is clearly its culture and not necessarily its foreign policy or its military strength. So culture, soft power, all of this, scholarly discussions on the different tangents, but they both symbolize the complexity and effectiveness of a nation's power without the use of arms and other types of coercive politics. Now, that's the kind of India that I believe we are creating in the 21st century. If there's anything we can celebrate in India, it's not really our military might or our growing economic power. It's the inherent strength and self-assurance of our society because we genuinely practice openness and tolerance. Let's face it, the flowers of knowledge do not bloom in the desolation of intolerance. As Tagore told us a century ago, nor can the clear stream of reason dry up in the dreary desert sands of dead habit. We must be creative. We must be innovative. For our own sake, our cultural and constitutional values of diversity, secularism, social equity must be continuously nurtured and nourished if we are to fulfill our potential. We need to recognize and appreciate the unique cultural strengths of our civilization and how these strengths, if nurtured properly, will give us unique advantages in this information era. Some years ago, I acquired some notoriety for saying that we cannot be a superpower when we are still super poor. The fact is that an India that lives in two different worlds, as Rahul Gandhi keeps saying, and travels two different trajectories, is simply not an option. We have to overcome our poverty. We have to deal with the hardware of development, the ports, the roads, the airports, all the infrastructure things we need to do, and the software of development, by which I don't mean your work, I mean our human capital. The need for the ordinary person in India to be able to have a couple of square meals a day, to send his or her children to a decent school, and to aspire to work a job that will give them opportunities to transform their lives. But as Bangalore's and Karnataka's success with the IT industry remind us, it's all taking place. This great adventure of conquering these challenges, these real challenges which none of us can pretend don't exist, it's all taking place in an open society, in a rich and diverse and plural civilization, one that's determined to liberate and fulfill the creative energies of its people. So while celebrating the technical prowess and business acumen of your IT industry, you must also cherish the social values and culture that allowed this excellence to blossom in the first place. It's no coincidence that the greatest export of the Taliban is terror, and yours is the hope that comes with peace and prosperity. Let me also remind you that the business you work in moves literally and metaphorically at the speed of light. Neither Bangalore nor Karnataka can afford to be complacent about your position on the global IT map. You have to diversify, you have to innovate, you have to move up the value chain. We cannot be content with simply being the back office of the world. We can celebrate frugal innovation, but it's not enough. Let's do more. Let's move forward. I'm deeply grateful to the Chief Minister and the government of Karnataka for giving me this opportunity to bask in the reflected glory of your tremendous achievements. The award winners today truly represent the best of what India is and what India can be. Let us move onward. We can make it. Thank you, and Jai Hind.